Have you ever looked at an old gadget and thought, how did we ever live without this? From bulky TVs that weighed a ton, to little beeping pagers that made us feel important, these inventions once defined modern life, but then they just vanished. Why did the future fade so fast? Let's find out together. The Transistor Radio. It's hard to forget that feeling. Twisting the silver dial until the static cleared and music finally broke through. For many who grew up in the 1950s and 60s, the transistor radio was more than just a gadget. It was freedom in your hand. Teenagers snuck it under their pillows at night, whispering along to Elvis or the Beatles when they were supposed to be asleep. Fathers kept one on the porch while fixing the car, the baseball game playing softly in the background. Mothers tuned in while cooking dinner, catching up on the news or a favorite program. That tiny speaker filled homes, streets, and hearts with sound. It wasn't perfect. The signal faded, batteries died fast, but none of that mattered. For the first time, the world could travel with you, your favorite songs, breaking news, late-night talk shows. You didn't need wires or walls, just a bit of static and imagination. Do you remember holding one close to your ear, trying to catch a faraway station before the signal slipped away? The reel-to-reel tape recorder. Have you ever seen one of these giant recorders in action? Or maybe heard your father use one back in the day? A low hum, a soft click, and two silver reels began to spin. That was the sound of a memory being captured. In the 1950s and 60s, reel-to-reel tape recorders were as close as ordinary people could get to real magic. They didn't just record music, they recorded life itself. Musicians loved them for their warmth, and families cherished them for their honesty. Birthdays, first words, family sing-alongs, all caught on those thin ribbons of magnetic tape. You could actually see the sound moving as it played, winding through the machine like a living heartbeat. There was something intimate about it. The gentle hiss before the music started, the faint echo when someone laughed too close to the microphone. Every recording felt alive because it carried all the little imperfections that made a moment real. Maybe your father had one in the living room, or your grandfather recorded the family singing Christmas carols on it. If you ever hear that steady spinning sound again, close your eyes. It's more than just tape turning, it's time itself still moving. The 8-track tape. If you grew up in the 1970s, chances are you remember the click of an 8-track changing tracks right in the middle of your favorite song. That sound was everywhere. In cars, in living rooms, even in gas stations selling racks of plastic cartridges that promised freedom, music, and motion. Before the cassette and long before digital playlists, the 8-track was revolutionary. You could finally take your music with you, slide a cartridge into the dashboard player, hear that warm analog tone, and hit the road. The sound would fill the car as the miles rolled by, every song a little companion on the highway. Families drove across America with an 8-track spinning the soundtrack of their summer. Fleetwood Mac, the Eagles, Johnny Cash, Elvis. Kids in the back seat would sing along, while parents tapped the steering wheel in time. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes the tape jammed. Sometimes the song switched halfway through, but it felt alive. Then, almost overnight, it was gone. The compact cassette took over, smaller, cheaper, easier to record on. The 8-track faded like a sunset at the end of a long drive. But if you ever sat in your dad's old Chevy and heard that gentle ka-chunk as the track changed, you know it wasn't just music. It was part of the rhythm of the road. The cassette tape. By the late 1960s, a miracle of convenience arrived, the cassette tape. Smaller than an 8-track, easy to carry, easy to record on, it turned music into something personal. You could finally make your own soundtrack, right there in your bedroom, one song at a time. Every teenager who grew up in the 70s or 80s remembers the ritual. Waiting by the radio, finger hovering over the record button, trying to capture that perfect song without the DJ talking over the intro. The hiss of the tape, the soft click when it started to spin. That was the heartbeat of youth. Cassette tapes weren't just for music, they were for memories. A father recording a message before a long trip, a couple making a love mix, a kid practicing guitar, rewinding again and again to hear his own progress. Every tape was a chapter in someone's life. Sure, the sound wasn't perfect. Tapes stretched, got tangled, and sometimes spilled their ribbon like guts across the floor. But there was something real about it. Something you could touch, rewind, or lend to a friend. Have you ever found an old mixtape in a drawer and wondered whose handwriting was on the label? Maybe yours. Maybe someone you once cared about. That little rectangle of plastic still holds a piece of who we were, waiting to play one more time. The Walkman. Do you remember seeing someone jogging with one clip to their shorts, the tape rattling inside as they ran? When the Sony Walkman hit the shelves in 1979, it didn't just change how we listened to music. It changed where we listened. For the first time, the soundtrack of your life could travel with you. You could walk, jog, ride the bus, or mow the lawn with your favorite tunes whispering in your ears. The Walkman was small, sleek, and powered by a pair of AA batteries that never seemed to last long enough. But the feeling it gave, that sense of escape, was priceless. Teenagers carried it everywhere, clipping it to their jeans, shutting out the noise of the world, and disappearing into their own universe of sound. You didn't just listen to music, you wore it. The big orange foam headphones became a badge of independence. And that click when you pressed play, it felt like a moment of magic. By the time CDs and MP3 players arrived, the Walkman had already carved its name into history. It wasn't the most convenient, and you couldn't skip songs, but that was part of the charm. You listened all the way through. Every track, every mood, every story. The Discman. By the mid-1980s, music made another leap, from tape to laser. The Sony Discman arrived, sleek and futuristic, promising perfect sound forever. Suddenly, music came on shiny silver discs that reflected rainbow colors in the sunlight. It felt like something out of science fiction. For many, owning a Discman meant you'd made it into the future. The sound was crisp, clean, and free of hiss or static. But it also came with its own quirks. One small bump and the CD might skip, freezing your favorite chorus in mid-beat. Joggers learned quickly that the Discman wasn't built for running, and every car ride meant balancing it carefully on your lap to keep it steady. Still, it was pure joy to flip open that little lid, place your favorite album inside, and watch the laser do its silent work. Teenagers filled binders with CDs, swapping them with friends, showing off their growing collections. The ritual of pressing play and hearing that smooth, digital clarity felt brand new, almost sacred. But just like the Walkman before it, the Discman's time was short. MP3 players and iPods soon arrived, holding thousands of songs in your pocket. The discs went back into their cases, and the world moved on. Do you still remember the first CD you ever owned? The one you played so many times it started to skip? For some of us, that sound of perfection, interrupted by a little crackle, is what made it real. The Boombox. If the Walkman was personal, the Boombox was public. Big, bold, and impossible to ignore, it became the symbol of the late 1970s and early 80s. A portable concert in a silver box. You didn't just listen to music on a boombox. You announced it. Every neighborhood had that one person carrying one on their shoulder. Cassette spinning, bass thumping so hard you could feel it in your chest. Parks, street corners, and basketball courts came alive with sound. Motown, early hip-hop, disco, or classic rock pouring from those massive speakers. It was music, energy, and rebellion all in one. Families took them to picnics, construction workers blasted them on job sites, and kids recorded their favorite radio shows straight onto tape. The boombox ran on a mountain of D batteries, but no one cared, because it made life feel bigger, louder, freer. By the 1990s, the boombox had started to fade, replaced by compact stereos and digital sound. But nothing ever matched the feeling of a crowd gathered around one, singing along, laughing, living in the beat. Maybe your dad had one sitting on the porch, or maybe you remember the first time you pressed both play and record at once to capture a song off the radio. The sound might have been rough, the tape a little wobbly, but for a moment that music belonged entirely to you. The floppy disk. There was a time when saving your work meant more than just clicking an icon. You'd slide a thin square of plastic into your computer, hear the gentle whir of the drive, and wait, hoping the disk didn't jam or fail. That was the floppy disk era, when every file felt like something worth protecting. Students carried them in plastic cases, each labeled carefully in black ink. Essays, photos, games. Office workers stacked them beside their monitors, a rainbow of data that represented hours of effort. And every so often, one unlucky disk would go bad, a tiny tragedy that made your heart sink. Each floppy held less than 3 megabytes of storage, barely enough for a single picture today. But back then, that was freedom. You could bring your work home, share files with friends, or boot up a game you'd spent weeks trading by mail. It was the first taste of portability in the digital age. Can you remember the sound of that drive spinning or the thrill of seeing your file actually load? The VHS tape. Friday night meant one thing, a trip to the video store. You'd walk down the aisles reading the backs of boxes under the soft hum of fluorescent lights, trying to pick the perfect movie before someone else grabbed it. Then came the ride home, the smell of popcorn already in the air, and that satisfying clunk as the VHS tape slid into the VCR. When the movie began, the whole family gathered. Kids on the floor, parents on the couch, maybe a dog asleep by the TV. The picture wasn't perfect, and sometimes the screen wobbled until Dad adjusted the tracking knob. But it didn't matter. That flickering glow, the warmth of the room, and the sound of laughter made it all feel alive. The VHS tape didn't just bring Hollywood home. It turned life itself into a movie. Families recorded birthdays, holidays, and school plays, labeling each tape carefully in black marker. Christmas '88, family trip to the lake, Jenny's first steps. Each cassette became a time capsule, waiting for another rainy afternoon. Do you still remember that sound of rewinding? The whir as the tape spun back to the start? For many of us, it wasn't just a movie ending. It was the night winding down. A soft, familiar ritual that said, we'll watch it again someday. The CD and DVD. By the 1990s, the way we watched and listened felt brand new again. Out went the bulky VHS tapes and crackling cassettes, and in came the shiny discs. CDs for music, DVDs for movies. They sparkled under the light like little mirrors, promising perfect sound and crystal clear pictures that would never fade. There was something deeply satisfying about holding one. The smooth plastic edge, the soft reflection of your face in the silver surface. People built shelves to display their growing collections. Favorite albums, blockbuster hits, family recordings burned on a home computer. Each disc came in its own case with cover art, lyrics, and sometimes even little booklets you could flip through. For many families, Friday night meant a trip to Blockbuster to pick out a new DVD. The excitement of browsing the aisles, the smell of popcorn, the quiet argument over which movie to rent, it was all part of the ritual. And when the lights dimmed and that glowing Play Movie menu appeared on the screen, it felt like luxury. Eventually, streaming and downloads replaced the discs. They were faster, easier, endless. But something was lost in the trade. We stopped owning our favorite things. We just borrowed them from the cloud. The pager. There was something powerful about that little beep. It didn't play music or show pictures, but it just said, someone's thinking of you. In the 1980s and early 90s, pagers were everywhere. Clipped to belts, tucked into pockets, glowing quietly with purpose. Doctors, firefighters, business people, they all depended on them. One short buzz could mean an emergency, an opportunity, or simply a loved one saying, "Call me." Teenagers soon caught on too. They'd send secret numeric codes, 143 for "I love you," 911 for "Call now." For many, owning a pager wasn't just useful, it was cool. It made you feel connected, important, part of something bigger. The beauty of the pager was its simplicity. No distractions, no apps, no endless scrolling. Just that sharp little tone and a reason to act. It was fast, reliable, and strangely human in its limits. You couldn't talk back. You had to make the effort to find a phone, to return the call. Maybe you remember your dad's pager buzzing during dinner, or your mom checking hers during a night shift. That small beep once carried big emotions, urgency, care, and the reminder that somebody, somewhere, was waiting to hear from you. The landline telephone. There was a time when a phone ringing could stop everything. Dinner, chores, even a family argument. Someone would shout, "I got it!" and rush across the room to grab the receiver. The sound of that single ring echoed through the house like an invitation. Whoever was on the other end might be a friend, a neighbor, or someone calling from miles away. It always felt important. The landline sat proudly on a side table or hung on the kitchen wall, its long coiled cord stretched and tangled from years of conversation. Kids wound it around their fingers as they talked about crushes or homework, whispering so their parents wouldn't overhear. Parents leaned against counters, chatting with relatives or paying bills while the receiver was tucked under their chin. There was no caller ID, no screening. You answered every ring with curiosity, and every voice carried warmth. You could tell how someone felt by the tone of their hello. Calls weren't quick. They were moments of connection. Cordless phones arrived, then cell phones, and the house grew quieter. The ring that once filled the air became just another notification, but the memory of that sound, bright, hopeful, and full of life, still lingers. The CRT Television. Every home had one. A big, boxy TV that hummed faintly even when the volume was low. It wasn't just another appliance, it was a piece of furniture, heavy enough to need two people to move and proud enough to sit at the center of the living room. On top sat family photos, maybe a doily or a vase of plastic flowers, because the TV wasn't just for watching, it was part of the family. Evenings had a rhythm built around that screen. Dad adjusted the rabbit ear antenna while Mom called everyone to sit down. Kids sprawled on the carpet, squinting through a little static as the picture flickered into place. The glow of that curved glass filled the room. News anchors, sitcoms, football games, Saturday morning cartoons, all shared on one screen together. When you turned the TV off, the picture didn't vanish right away. A single white dot lingered at the center, fading slowly as the set gave a soft pop. That sound meant bedtime, or the end of a long day. It's funny how quiet the room felt once that light disappeared. Do you remember that faint static smell when the TV warmed up, or the way the room glowed blue in the dark? For many of us, that light wasn't just a show, it was the glow of home. The rotary dial phone. You could always tell when someone was about to make a call. They'd pick up that heavy receiver, cradle it against their shoulder, and pause, just long enough to think about what they were going to say. Then came the sound everyone knew. Click, 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 click. Each number took time, spinning forward and snapping back like a heartbeat. The rotary dial phone wasn't built for speed. It was built for presence. You couldn't text, you couldn't scroll, you could only wait. Every call meant commitment. Families shared one phone line, so conversations were half private, half public. Teens stretched cords down hallways for whispered talks, while parents shouted, "It's long distance, make it quick." The phone often sat in the kitchen, mounted on the wall or perched on a side table beside a little notepad. Its cord tangled, the handset heavy, the sound rich and warm. People remembered numbers by heart. You didn't need contact lists, you carried them in your mind. Can you picture your mom leaning against the counter, twirling the cord while talking to a friend? Or your dad in the recliner, nodding silently as he listened? Those weren't just phone calls. They were little connections that held the world together, one click at a time. The film camera. There's a certain smell that always brings it back. The faint scent of film and paper from a freshly opened photo envelope. Long before digital screens and instant previews, that was how memories arrived, one glossy print at a time. Families carried their film cameras everywhere, into the beach, to birthdays, to school plays. Dad would line everyone up, squinting through the tiny viewfinder while Mom reminded the kids to hold still. The shutter clicked, and that sound alone felt important. You didn't know what you captured, not yet. You had to wait, and that waiting was half the joy. A few days later, you'd return to the drugstore or photo counter, pick up your envelope, and flip through the prints right there in the parking lot. Some were blurry, some too bright, but one or two would take your breath away. Those were the keepers, the ones that found their way into albums or frames passed down for decades. Do you still have an old photo album tucked away? Pages yellowed, corners curling? Maybe one of your parents laughing at a picnic, or you as a child squinting into the sun. Back then, every picture had weight, because every click meant something you couldn't get back. The typewriter. The steady clack-clack of metal keys once filled homes and offices alike. A rhythm that meant someone was thinking, creating, or dreaming. Long before keyboards went silent, that sound was the heartbeat of every writer, secretary, and student. The typewriter didn't just record words, it demanded effort, attention, and care. Each letter landed on paper with real force. Mistakes couldn't be erased with a tap. They left a mark, just like in life. You'd feed in a fresh sheet, roll it into place, and press that first key, knowing there was no undo. Yet that was part of its beauty. Every page was honest. People wrote love letters, college essays, and resignation notes on these machines. The air smelled faintly of ink ribbons and carbon paper. And when you finished a thought, that cheerful ding announced the end of a line. A small victory every few seconds. Maybe you remember your father typing late at night, the sound echoing down the hallway, or your grandmother teaching you how to press just hard enough. Those old machines didn't just print sentences. They taught us to mean what we said. The slide projector. The living room lights dimmed, the hum of the fan began, and a beam of golden light cut through the dark. One by one, the slides clicked into place. Family vacations, birthday parties, the baby's first steps. The walls turned into memory screens glowing with faces that smiled back from another time. Every family had their slide night. Dad was the proud operator, balancing the carousel of slides while Mom passed around snacks. Kids sprawled on the floor, giggling as their own faces appeared 10 feet tall on the wall. Sometimes a photo went in upside down or jammed mid-show, and everyone laughed while Dad tried to fix it. Those little flaws made the memories feel alive. Each slide was a treasure, labeled neatly, stored carefully, and handled with respect. You couldn't just swipe past a moment, you had to sit and be there for it. The soft click. Whir. Click became its own rhythm, a heartbeat of family storytelling. The alarm clock radio. The red digits glowed in the dark, steady and soft, the quiet heartbeat of every bedroom. For millions of families, the alarm clock radio wasn't just how the day began, it was part of the home itself. Its gentle hum filled the silence long before sunrise, promising that another day was about to start. You'd hear a familiar DJ's voice, the morning news, or maybe your favorite song easing you awake. Some preferred the blaring buzz that shook them out of bed, while others relied on the comfort of music drifting through static. Either way, that sound became the rhythm of everyday life. Reliable, familiar, and strangely comforting. On school days, kids watched the minutes tick by, dreading the moment the alarm went off. Parents tapped the snooze button one more time, convincing themselves 5 minutes wouldn't hurt. And on weekends, the same clock quietly shifted roles. From drill sergeant to gentle companion, playing golden oldies while sunlight crept through the curtains. Can you still picture one sitting on your nightstand, maybe beside a stack of cassette tapes or a half-read paperback? The camcorder. A red light blinked, the tape began to spin, and suddenly the ordinary turned into history. In the 1980s and 90s, every family had one, the camcorder. Big, clunky, and heavier than it looked, yet it carried the power to freeze time. Dad would hoist it onto his shoulder, squinting into the viewfinder while Mom called for everyone to stand closer. Kids would wave, make funny faces, or pretend not to care, but deep down, they loved it. Those shaky home movies caught life as it really was. Messy, loud, and full of love. Birthdays, graduations, vacations, all captured on tape, stored in boxes labeled in black marker. Summer '89. Christmas '93. Watching them later meant dimming the lights, hearing that familiar whir of the VCR, and seeing younger versions of ourselves moving and laughing again. There was no editing, no retakes, just real life as it happened. Then came digital cameras and eventually smartphones making recording effortless. We filmed more, but somehow remembered less. The family camcorder was packed away, its tapes left behind. Little capsules of joy waiting for someone to press play. Do you still have one of those tapes tucked in a drawer somewhere? The overhead projector. If you ever sat in a classroom during the 1970s or 80s, you probably remember the gentle hum of the overhead projector. That warm light filled the room as the teacher slid a transparent sheet into place. Words and diagrams glowing on the wall like magic. The sound of the fan, the squeak of a felt marker, and the smell of heated plastic were all part of the school day. The teacher would gesture toward the projection, pointing with a ruler or even a pencil, and students would lean forward trying to keep up as the next slide was swapped in. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. Every classroom had one. They were dependable, slightly clunky, and endlessly reusable. Teachers scribbled, erased, and redrew ideas right before your eyes. It made learning feel alive. And when the bulb finally burned out in the middle of a lesson, the whole class would groan together. A small, shared moment everyone remembers. Do you remember that classroom glow? The quiet hum filling the room as your teacher wrote something that seemed to float in midair? For many of us, that light wasn't just for learning, it was the glow of childhood itself. The fax machine. That high-pitched screech and whirring tone, but you could hear it from across the office. The fax machine was once the height of technology, the bridge between mail and email, the sound of business getting done. It didn't just send information, it transmitted trust. In the 1980s and 90s, no office was complete without one. Contracts, letters, resumes, even family recipes zipped through phone lines in real time. You'd feed the paper in carefully, dial the number, and watch in wonder as your words appeared hundreds of miles away. One faint, curling line at a time. There was always a little tension in those moments. Would it go through? Would the paper jam? Every successful transmission ended with that satisfying beep, 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 signaling that your message had made it. For a generation of workers, that sound meant progress. Do you remember standing by one, waiting impatiently for a page to slide out? Or seeing your boss celebrate when an important document finally arrived? For a while, that machine made the world feel smaller. One squeal, one page, one deal at a time. The Telegraph. It's hard to imagine now. A world where news moved slower than the wind, where waiting for a letter meant days of silence. Then one day, everything changed. A small metal key tapped out a rhythm across a wire, and for the first time in history, a message outran a horse. That sound, click, 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 was the heartbeat of a new world. Invented in the 1830s, the telegraph shrank distances that once felt endless. With each tap, people connected across cities, countries, even oceans. A single line of code could carry love, loss, or history itself. Peace sign today. Mother well. Arriving home soon. Simple words, yet they meant everything. Telegraph operators became the unseen messengers of their time. Their fingers dancing on brass keys, their ears tuned to a language of dots and dashes. In dusty outposts and busy train stations, the wires hummed like veins of the earth, carrying the pulse of human connection. Maybe your grandparents still remembered hearing that sharp tapping sound in an old movie, or reading about telegrams that brought both joy and heartbreak. Every message that flashes across a screen today began with that first electric whisper, the moment the world found its voice. If there was a time machine that could take you back to the golden age of housing design, where bold aesthetics blended with grace, that would be the 60s. A typical house would be filled with vibrant colors, unique patterns, and designs that broke the mold. Today, let's step through the door and explore 25 forgotten charming features, things that once made a house truly livable. Conversation pits were called the heart of every home by an entire generation. Imagine walking into the living room, and the first thing that catches your eye is a sunken seating area, a few steps lower than the rest of the floor, creating a cozy oasis. This design was conceived to bring people closer together in a way that was both intimate and stylish. These sunken seating areas were often lined with plush, comfortable cushions, sometimes arranged around a central coffee table or a cozy fireplace. It encouraged a communal, relaxed atmosphere, perfect for lively discussions, endless conversations, or simply intimate family gatherings. Unlike the rigid and traditional living room layouts of today, the conversation pit blurred the lines between interior and architecture. In chilly winter evenings, the whole family gathering in the conversation pit, the warmth radiating from the fireplace, laughter and stories shared naturally and privately. Mid-century modern furniture was the style that defined the modern lifestyle of the 1960s. These were sleek, minimalist pieces of furniture that combined functionality with sophisticated appearance. Think of the famous Eames lounge chair, combining high-quality leather and exquisitely bent wood, offering maximum comfort along with a design style like a work of art. Or Danish teak cabinets with clean, simple, yet incredibly elegant lines, perfect for showcasing favorite decorative items. And one cannot forget the pebble-shaped coffee tables with organic curves that brought softness to the space. These items were designed with an emphasis on function and aesthetics, giving the room a light, airy feel. They became so popular that they quickly became symbols of a modern lifestyle, promoting sophistication, utility, and timeless beauty. Mid-century modern furniture was equipped in sunken living rooms with minimalist inspiration, creating a space that made a statement. Although design trends have changed, the mid-century modern style still maintains a strong appeal today, proving that beautiful design never goes out of style. They demonstrated the homeowner's sophistication and contributed to the general atmosphere of freedom and creativity in the 60s. Sitting down on the sofa in the living room, you would feel the softness and find yourself immersed in a sea of vibrant colors. Sofas and armchairs of this era were often upholstered in vibrant and bold tones such as burnt orange, green, and yellow. Color was used not only for decoration but also to create a sensory experience, injecting joy and energy into the room. The combination of these vivid colors with the natural wood frames of mid-century modern furniture created a unique, harmonious contrast. This was an expression of freedom, not hesitating to break traditional rules, creating a unique space that reflected the homeowner's personality. In an era where we often see neutral tones prevail, the vibrant upholstery of the 60s was an invitation to playfulness and optimism. They made the space lively and provided a sense of intimacy. Colorful upholstery came with strong patterns, from sharp geometric designs to large organic motifs, turning every piece of furniture into a visual focal point. It was part of a larger cultural shift, where people were not afraid to make their homes distinct and colorful. Even small items like glass ashtrays or rugs were chosen to match this color vibration. Did your home ever have these features? Hit the hype button and share your memories in the comments below. These homes also showcased a music player as a statement of style and entertaining. These hi-fi systems were subtly integrated into sleek wood cabinets or elegant furnishings, blending perfectly with the mid-century modern decor. Imagine sliding open a finely finished teak or walnut cabinet door and seeing the vinyl turntable inside. The experience of placing a vinyl record on the turntable and listening to the rich, full analog sound fill the room was an intentional and immersive ritual. Completely different from the convenient but disconnected digital music playback of today, enjoying music then was a carefully prepared moment. Inside these cabinets, one often found stacks of LPs, ready to play the latest tracks by the Beatles or smooth jazz melodies. These built-in stereo players brought warmth and a special atmosphere to the living space. They were symbols of a family that valued art and relaxation. They transformed music from isolated entertainment into a shared experience, part of the architecture and home design. Wood paneling in the 1960s was a hallmark of cozy and well-designed interiors, adding texture, warmth, and a touch of sophistication to the living space. It is important to remember that mid-century paneling was far removed from the flimsy, faux wood versions that appeared in later decades. The real wood paneling was crafted from high-quality, rich materials such as walnut, oak, or mahogany. When touching the smooth wood surface, one could clearly feel the natural wood grain, providing a sense of luxury and durability. Whether used to cover an entire wall or just as a decorative accent, wood paneling created an intimate, inviting, and highly personalized atmosphere. Especially in bedrooms, wood paneling offered a sense of warmth and privacy, ideal for cold winter nights. They transformed the room into a private, relaxing space where you could set aside outside worries. The natural warmth of the wood made the room more friendly and pleasant. Over time, this wood paneling was replaced by smooth drywall and simpler paint layers. However, today, design lovers are rediscovering the charm of real wood paneling. Using wood paneling primarily provides a timeless aesthetic, but also demonstrates an appreciation for natural materials and craftsmanship. They can add depth and warmth to modern spaces, creating an interesting contrast with minimalist lines. In the kitchen cabinets and on the dining table, you would see the presence of two items that revolutionized everyday life: melamine and Tupperware dinnerware. Melamine was the practical and often colorful choice for everyday dining in the 1960s. These lightweight, durable plates, bowls, and cups often featured various patterns, from floral, country styles to vibrant colors. Thanks to melamine, family meals became less worrying. If kids dropped them, they were easy to wash and durable, ideal for busy families. In parallel, Tupperware became incredibly popular during this time, revolutionizing food storage. These airtight containers were often displayed in kitchen cabinets or on countertops, in fairly standard colors like burnt orange or avocado green. Who could forget those distinctive lids that sealed food tightly? Tupperware not only kept food fresher longer, but also organized the refrigerator and pantry effectively. Their popularity was driven by at-home Tupperware parties, turning shopping into a social event. Both these items reflected the emphasis on convenience and practicality in 60s housing. They brought durability to everyday meals, helping busy mothers manage household chores more easily. If you were invited to a dinner party at a 1960s home, chances are you would be invited to participate in a fondue party. Fondue sets were a widespread craze in the late 1960s and an essential kitchen item. Fondue consists of a pot, a set of forks, and a heating unit. This dish was a great way to socialize and enjoy delicious melted cheese or melted chocolate. The metal or ceramic fondue pot was always placed on a small burner with a gentle flame, keeping the cheese or chocolate warm and liquid. People would use long, multicolored forks to dip bread, fruit, or meat into the pot. Laughter and conversation would fill the space as everyone enjoyed this unique meal together. Fondue parties offered an interactive dining experience, encouraging sharing and fun among guests. The fondue set created delicious dinners, gradually forming a type of entertainment and showcasing the host's sophistication in entertaining. Owning a complete fondue set was a sign of keeping up with the latest cultural and social trends. The popularity of fondue spread quickly and became a symbol of luxury and modernity in home entertaining late in the decade. If you loved entertaining and inviting friends over, you would be drawn to the compact built-in bar cabinet, an indispensable element of the home. This feature provided a stylish and convenient space for entertainment. Instead of bulky standalone bar carts, these built-in bars were often neatly arranged in the living room, family room, or even the kitchen, blending perfectly with the overall home design. These bars often had a mirrored backsplash, creating a feeling of a larger space and reflecting the glittering light from bottles and glasses. Sophisticated glass shelves were used to display beautiful glassware sets and favorite types of liquor. Smartly designed storage cabinets held alcohol, glasses, and essential cocktail-making tools. Everything was neatly organized and easily accessible, making happy hour luxurious and effortless. As the trend of home entertaining becomes popular again, these retro bars are poised for a strong comeback. With modern upgrades like sleek finishes, advanced hidden storage solutions, and even hidden charging stations, a built-in bar can add both function and mid-century charm to today's home. It is an invitation to turn the living space into the ideal destination for intimate parties. In your opinion, which feature truly made your family life easier and more efficient? Was it the large console TV or that amazing built-in bar cabinet? Tell us in the comments. Stepping into the bathroom, you would notice a stark difference from the neutral tones prevalent today. In the 1960s, pink and colored bathrooms were symbols of personality and charm. They transformed ordinary bathrooms into stylish spaces, providing the feeling of an at-home retreat. All the bathrooms were covered in soothing pastel blue, mint green, or a bold and striking avocado green. These colorful spaces felt playful yet sophisticated, often complemented by matching sinks, toilets, and tubs, along with carefully selected ceramic tiles to create a harmonious and captivating look. The queen of this trend was First Lady Mamie Eisenhower's famous love for pink, which inspired a whole generation of homeowners to embrace the hue. Pink could be considered a statement of femininity, comfort, and a touch of luxury in the home's most private space. One of the most popular color motifs at the time was red, white, and blue, with red shower and window curtains, blue ceramic wall tiles, and white porcelain fixtures. This color combination created a cohesive, engaging look. Over time, these vibrant colors were replaced by neutral tones, but with the return of vintage aesthetics, the appeal of colorful bathrooms is gradually being restored. An equally luxurious design was the sunken bathtub. These tubs were the embodiment of luxury in 1960s homes, turning bathrooms into spa-like retreats at home. Unlike traditional tubs placed on the floor, these were built flush with the floor, creating a seamless, modern look that was both sophisticated and relaxing. After a long day, you step into an exquisitely tiled bathroom, the sunken tub descending into the floor like an inviting small pool. They were often surrounded by ceramic tiles, stone, or even lush greenery, creating a small natural oasis right inside the house. This tub provided a deep, incredibly relaxing soaking experience, while adding elegance to the space. Notably, there were bold designs such as round orange sunken bathtubs. Over time, they also gradually lost popularity due to changing design trends and the development of prefabricated tubs. The return of sunken bathtubs could redefine the modern bathroom. With contemporary materials and updated safety features, a sunken tub can once again offer homeowners a stylish and serene bathing experience, like a private vacation at home. The combination of unique aesthetics and superb relaxation makes them one of the most worthwhile features to revive. Do you agree with me? Right under your feet in the kitchen or bathroom, patterned linoleum floors brought bold designs and vibrant, playful colors. Linoleum was a bright and practical flooring choice in 1960s homes. From classic checkerboard patterns, atomic swirls, to vibrant floral motifs, linoleum floors made a statement. Homeowners loved linoleum for its durability, easy maintenance, and affordability. The shiny linoleum floor withstood the wear and tear of busy family life and was very easy to clean, making it ideal for high-traffic areas. However, over time it was overshadowed by vinyl and ceramic tile materials. But now, as vintage aesthetics are making a strong comeback, and environmentally friendly materials are increasingly favored, modern linoleum, made from natural materials like flaxseed oil and cork, offers a stylish and sustainable way to revive this retro trend. With modern manufacturing technology, today's linoleum retains the unique beauty of the past while meeting environmental standards, making it a smart choice for homes that want to combine vintage charm with a green lifestyle. It brought color and pattern that other flooring options could hardly match. Taking a tour around the kitchen, Formica countertops played a significant role, contributing to a playful yet functional design. Formica is a durable, layered, and often patterned material, often appearing in striking colors like turquoise or red. They became an integral part of retro diner-style kitchens, where everything was about bold colors and fun patterns. You see, they were an easy-to-clean surface that withstood the wear and tear of daily cooking, while adding a strong touch of personality to the room. Imagine bright turquoise countertops or large polka dot patterns, contrasting with pastel-colored appliances like avocado green or burnt orange. This combination created a visual feast, transforming the kitchen into a vibrant and inviting space. Formica was not just a practical choice, but also a symbol of post-war modernity and convenience. It allowed homeowners to add vibrant color and unique patterns without the expense of other high-end materials. Today, Formica has been largely replaced by granite or quartz, but it still holds the nostalgia for a time when boldness and fun dominated kitchen design. Do you remember the taste of coffee from a chrome-plated percolator pot? Which item brought back the most childhood memories for you? Moving to the laundry area or a convenient built-in cabinet, you will discover a smart and space-saving feature, the fold-down ironing board. The fold-down ironing board was a smart space-saving feature in 1960s homes, integrated directly into the wall, closet, or kitchen cabinet for easy access. Unlike bulky freestanding ironing boards that took up valuable space, these convenient designs could be folded away when not in use, helping to keep the house neat and tidy. You just needed to open the cabinet door, pull out the ironing board, and start ironing. Then fold it back neatly and make it disappear. Many of these boards also came with built-in storage compartments for the iron and essential laundry items, making household chores more efficient. They are a testament to practical design thinking, where every square foot was utilized to the maximum. As compact lifestyles and multifunctional spaces become increasingly popular, the fold-down ironing board deserves a revival. With modern upgrades like sleek finishes, advanced heat-resistant surfaces, and even hidden charging stations for steam irons, this retro feature can once again become a must-have for practical and stylish homes. They are a flexible design solution, bringing absolute convenience and neatness to busy lives. Staying in the kitchen, you cannot help but notice the sparkle of shiny chrome kitchen items on the countertops. Almost everything on the kitchen counter was finished in shiny chrome, from toasters, stand mixers, percolator coffee pots, to canister sets. Chrome offered a sleek beauty symbolizing progress, hygiene, and new technology in the kitchen. When light reflected off the shiny chrome surface of the toaster or the stand mixer, it made your kitchen sparkle. You would surely be complimented on your aesthetic taste if you knew how to cleverly arrange these items. Chrome percolator coffee pots produced delicious drops of coffee, while the canister sets were also made from the same material, creating a harmonious and modern overall look. Chrome conveyed a feeling of cleanliness and efficiency, matching the trend of modern, labor-saving appliances like dishwashers and electric stoves. These items created a kitchen that was both functional and stylish, where everything was shiny and ready to operate. Of course, many other materials are used today, but the timeless beauty of chrome is still loved by many. Owning a collection of shiny chrome appliances was a way for homeowners to show they were embracing modernity and convenience. Although rare today, glass ashtrays and smoking stands were a common decorative item and reflected the cultural context of the 1960s. Smoking was part of most households at the time. A tall metal or wooden stand, topped with a large glass or ceramic ashtray, was often found somewhere in the living room, usually beside the father's favorite armchair. Strangely, the previous generation considered them decorative items in the shared living space. If there was no smoking stand, you might also find a collection of different glass ashtrays placed on the coffee table or side table. These ashtrays could come in many shapes, sizes, and colors, often made from heavy, sparkling glass or elaborately designed ceramics. They are small, authentic pieces that help us understand the cultural context of the decade, when everything seemed much simpler. Their presence in the living room shows that hosting guests and entertaining was central to family life. Although outdated, these items still bring a feeling of nostalgia for a different era. Do you remember a wooden screen with small squares or soft curves used to separate the living room and dining room? That is the lattice room divider. This was a stylish and functional design element in 1960s homes, offering a way to divide spaces without completely closing them off. Made from wood, metal, or even acrylic, these airy dividers featured geometric or organic patterns, adding visual interest while maintaining an open and breathable feel. They were often used in living rooms, dining areas, and entryways to create delineation without sacrificing natural light or circulation. Light could pass through the lattice openings, creating interesting patterns of light and shadow on the floor and walls. These dividers provided a certain degree of privacy without losing the feeling of connection between rooms. You could use them to create a private workspace or to gently separate the communal living area and the dining area. They are a flexible design solution, bringing both function and aesthetic beauty to those who prefer minimalist living spaces. As open living continues to be popular, lattice dividers are due for a comeback, offering a subtle way to add structure, privacy, and mid-century charm to modern interiors. Another unique decorating trend was the fascination with Polynesian culture, leading to the popularity of tiki-inspired decor. You might step into a corner of the house dedicated to a small tiki bar with bamboo furniture or colorful tiki glasses. This appeal symbolized the optimism, freedom, and desire for adventure of Americans at the time. Perhaps someone had transformed their living room into a small tropical oasis with intricately carved wooden tiki statues, bamboo lanterns, and grass mats. The small tiki bar could be decorated with tiki-shaped mugs featuring amusing tribal faces, ready for tropical cocktails. Bamboo or rattan furniture offered the light, relaxed feel of a distant island. Cocktail culture was booming in the 1960s, and tiki decor provided the perfect backdrop for vibrant, at-home parties. This trend reflected the American interest in exotic cultures and the desire to bring a bit of a resort atmosphere into their own homes. Beside the sofa, you would find a simple but incredibly useful item: the wooden magazine rack. In an era where magazines were published for almost everyone, these wooden racks became a practical place to store periodicals like Life, Woman's Day, or even Boy's Life. They reflected the family's reading habits and consumption of printed media at the time. Many people surely remember the wooden racks with simple yet elegant designs, with slots designed to keep magazines upright and easily accessible. Each magazine was a window into the world of the 60s, from news, fashion, cooking, to entertainment. Boy's Life magazine, for example, was a companion with adventure stories, articles about outdoor activities, DIY projects, and scouting advice. It played an important role in shaping the interests and values of boys growing up during this period. The presence of these magazine racks was not only a convenient place to store printed media, but also a great way to display your publications when guests arrived. It is a simple item, but reflects an important part of family life in the 60s, a cultural trait distinct from our digital age. This rack kept the living room tidy and organized, while showcasing the family's reading habits. In the entryways, you would feel the solidity and rustic beauty of nature. Interior stone walls were a prominent architectural feature in many 1960s homes, adding a natural textural element that brought warmth and character to the space. Unlike today's smooth, uniform drywall, stone walls provided depth and contrast, making a bold architectural statement. Observe the carefully arranged river stones, rough slate panels, or natural stone in various colors and shapes. These walls were often used in the living room, entryway, or around the fireplace to create a rustic yet sophisticated look. They were like a natural work of art, telling a story about materials and human connection to the environment. Light shining on the rough stone surface would create interesting shadows that changed throughout the day, bringing life to the space. In the context of increasing numbers of people seeking closeness to nature in their living spaces, a stone wall can become a striking focal point, offering a sense of peace, stability, and a touch of luxury aesthetic. Unfortunately, this feature gradually lost favor in subsequent decades, but its return could bring a refreshing balance between organic materials and modern design. In the 1960s, matching ceramic tile work became an important element, especially in the bathroom, where customization and color were key. Homeowners loved using ceramic tiles because they were colorful, affordable, and easy to clean. Ceramic tiles were carefully selected to match the colors of the fixtures, sinks, and bathtubs, creating a harmonious and captivating look. The building boom of the 1920s established tiled bathrooms as an essential element of the home, but by the 60s, traditional white ceramic tiles had been replaced by a colorful abundance of new tile shapes, sizes, and textures. There were many choices, from square, rectangular tiles to blue and white mosaics forming stripes. Tones from cool blue, avocado green, peach to purple and yellow were all popular. There were even large mosaic artworks above the bathtub, such as images of mountains. Ceramic tile work could bring a great difference in style and practical value to the home. It provided sparkling colors that never faded, scratch-resistant, waterproof, stain-resistant surfaces that never needed polishing. In the 1960s, televisions became increasingly common in households and often served as the focal point of many living rooms. Many homes had large console televisions, often housed in solid wooden cabinets with built-in speakers and storage space. This large, sturdy wooden cabinet, with a TV screen centrally placed, looked like a luxurious piece of furniture. Below or on either side of the screen were integrated speaker systems, providing vibrant sound for TV shows and movies. There might even be storage space inside the cabinet for other items. This television was considered the power center in the living room, where the whole family gathered to watch the news, entertainment programs, and favorite movies. The large TV screen, often protected by a glass panel, was a window to the outside world. Time flies, you see, today's TVs are thinner and mounted on the wall. People less often remember these large console TVs. They possess a classic beauty and nostalgia for an era when the television was a valuable piece of furniture. If your family had a color TV in the 1960s, it was a sign of wealth, as they were very expensive and new. Neighbors were often invited over to watch programs like The Wonderful World of Disney become more magical thanks to color. Another essential item you would surely find was the wall-mounted rotary telephone. They were usually mounted on the kitchen wall and were colored to match the kitchen's interior, often green, pale pink, or yellow, to suit the ceramic tiles or Formica countertops. Having a telephone in the kitchen was quite common, as this was where the most time was spent during the day. The housewife could cook while chatting with friends or family. Do you remember those days when Mom was busy cooking in the kitchen, the phone rang, and she had to reach up to the wall-mounted phone to dial each number on the rotary dial? The characteristic clack-clack sound of the rotary dial was a familiar sound in every home. These phones were often the Western Electric 500 telephone, known for their durability and beautiful design, and had become widely popular in homes and offices across the country. They became an indispensable part of daily life, keeping people connected. Without the advent of wireless technology, we might still be using these reliable Western Electric 500 phones. When night fell and the weather turned cold, especially in 1960s homes where heating and insulation were not as optimized as today, one item became a true savior: the electric blanket. Electric blankets were an essential item for cold nights. Do you remember the feeling of being curled up in a warm blanket, which could be plugged into the wall and radiated heat while sleeping so cozy? These blankets from brands like Northern Electric or GE, with temperature controls, helped keep warm and comfortable throughout the night. They were the perfect solution to combat the cold, ensuring a good and cozy sleep. The blanket was usually queen or full-sized, covered with a patterned bedsheet. For many, an electric blanket might have been a cherished Christmas gift that provided unparalleled comfort. This useful item evokes childhood memories of warm winter nights within the family circle. The convenience and instant warmth of the electric blanket made them indispensable in every 1960s household, aimed at creating a more comfortable living space. Life at this time was gradually experiencing innovation in creating home comforts. Looking up at the walls, you would not be able to take your eyes off the vibrant and bold patterns. Bold and patterned wallpaper was an unmistakable hallmark of 1960s interior design. With sharp geometric shapes or large floral patterns in vibrant colors, they adorned the walls throughout the house, from the living room to the bedroom. The walls of this decade were covered with attractive repeating geometric patterns or large floral patterns with energetic colors. These patterns were like a strong statement, expressing the homeowner's personality and boldness. While today we often favor monochrome walls, in the past, using wallpaper was a way to add depth, texture, and drama to the space. Bold patterned wallpaper was one of the clearest ways to feel the transition from the 1950s to the 1960s, where freedom and creativity were vividly expressed in home design. Some families even let their children freely choose the paint color or patterned wallpaper for their private rooms. The return of wallpaper in recent years shows that we are gradually rediscovering the beauty and transformative power of these bold patterns. Thank you for watching. If this journey back in time brought back a few memories, we'd love to hear them. Tell us in the comments which invention meant the most to you, and don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep bringing the past back to yesterday.